Good evening and welcome to Transistance, your weekly news and commentary program covering topics and issues from around the world that impact the transgender, non-binary, non-conforming, and intersex world, as well as the wider two-spirit LGBTQIAP+ community. I am Genevieve Bergman, one of your hosts, and I am so glad to be here tonight. Do want to warn you, we just had a bit of a mood-setting conversation right as we come on screen, so tonight could be spicy.
Tonight will definitely be spicy. We've got some really interesting, I don't even know what the adjective is for these words, but we'll get into it very soon. I'm Emily, your co-host, and I'll pass it to Marla.
I'm Marla, and it's especially going to be spicy because of the conversation we just had. And Jeannie, I don't think you were in the room when I said it. When I was setting up my new camera, my computer crashed, so I lost all my notes. So I am flying by the seat of my pants tonight. So expect it to be a little off the cuff.
Yay! So now you know how I play it every week.
We're going to be fast and loose today, and hopefully it'll be...
Hey, no need to call out character assassination here.
Oh, ow.
Okay, Marla, all right. That's a Marla gag. Throwing me under the bus, making me the bad guy. I love it. Okay.
Hey, you were the one calling me fast and loose, so come on.
Let's see. I'm realizing I don't have one thing set up, so when I switch over to this, it's not going to be set. So just give me 2 seconds to fix this, y'all. Let's go back to this one, and I will do it over here. Hold on a second. Let's see. Where is the browser? So many screens, so many different little bits to it. I'm not finding this.
We're professional.
We are. We typically
the professionals.
Typically are. Typically pretty close. There we go. Okay.
Shy, she probably called me loose because I threw myself at her for so long in the very beginning. So.
Oh God, it's so spicy. Let's go.
Okay. We are starting. We're jumping into it. We're getting into the worst one first, I believe. We're just gonna start it out hot. We're gonna make good on the promise of keeping it spicy, and just, I mean, it's not even spicy. It's gonna be fiery. Oklahoma bill would fire teachers for offending Christian morals by teaching biology. There's also a secondary article. Oklahoma bill could fine teachers for teaching anything that contradicts religion. Jeannie, take these away from us.
So, if you are from Oklahoma, such as me, or you happen to be, you know of anybody in Oklahoma, you might want to mention the name Rob Standridge, who is an Oklahoma senator. He has introduced legislation that will allow, if passed, now this is still at the very beginning, so we are hoping that this will be nuked very quickly. But this bill would allow parents of school-age children to sue any teacher, not school, teacher, if that teacher says anything, teaches anything that opposes the religious beliefs of the children in their class. And that's not where it ends. This gets worse and worse as you go, because the suit is for $10,000 for each instance of teaching something that goes contrary to the religious beliefs of the students, which technically are the religious beliefs of the parents, because most parents and children share the same religious beliefs. Per incident, per individual, the fine has to be paid by the teacher. I saw one commentary that said that teachers could not even start a GoFundMe to raise the $10,000. Now, here's the thing. Oklahoma has one of the lowest paid teachers in the country. Their salaries is some of the lowest paying for teachers. Teachers make around $38,000 to $47,000 a year. This would require them to pay $10,000 out of their personal financial resources with no ability to go to another institution or even raise money from individuals. The bill specifically says that you cannot go to other organizations and you cannot go to other individuals to raise that money. And now it goes just a little bit farther than that. If they go out and they find financial resources from individuals or organizations, they will be fired immediately and they will be banned from teaching in the state for 5 years.
Well, this essentially bans them from teaching right now. You can't teach reality.
I want to say, first of all, the whole thing about not being able to give them money towards this $10,000, there's absolutely no way that's legal. We've decided that money is free speech. You absolutely cannot say that other people cannot pay the fine for them. There's no way that's going to fly in the court system, just as a start. The other thing I wanted to say is they're so happy to do this, right, and have the teachers pay for it. But my God, if a cop shoots someone dead who is unarmed and the suit goes through, it's taxpayer dollars that pays for it, not the cops. But they're so quick to do it to teachers. That's absolutely insane. Says a lot about how they value teachers and how they do not care about institutional racism or out of control cops or whatever it might be. And the other thing about it, two other things about it. First of all, this isn't just LGBTQ. This is like evolution. You can't teach, for example. And I want to say, if any of the students in that class are Jewish, I mean, they should be ready to, I don't know, sue the state, because you know that if they say, if they teach Judaism, these people are going to be like, that's against Christianity. That's breaking the rule. But if they talked about Christianity and Jews were like, well, we don't believe Jesus was the Messiah, sure as hell they're going to be like, well, that doesn't count. That's not part of the rule. So anyone who's not Christian and is in that state and has children, and you have the money and the time and the willingness to really shove it to these people, go get a lawyer and be ready to, really screw up their fucking day.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. For me, it's not even a matter of religious. If a science teacher teaches biology as biology has been known for the last 100+ years, parents can be all like, oh, no. That's against my religious beliefs, because there are only two sexes, male and female. Intersex is a part of biology. It is a function of the chromosomal makeup of people, and should be taught in sciences at that level. We talk about those things. That is science. It is known science, but you could have some religious conservative, typically a white Christian, come in and say, you owe me $10,000 because you taught my children scientific facts. And I am like, you have got to be fucking kidding me, because if we are now going to make science answerable to religion, we may as well go back, dig up Galileo, burn him at the stake, and then rake him over the coals again and again and again, because this is exactly what they did during the Enlightenment.
Yeah. And it's just
what they did.
It just goes back to Marla's point. What religion? So any religion?
We know what religion. Go on.
Well, yeah, we know what religion they mean, but you can't write there's so many you can'ts here, right? And the problem, the reason we're getting fired up is like, but can they? But will they? You can't say something that is specific to one religion and have a law about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very doubtful this will pass and is even legal in many ways. But the fact that this could even be suggested and there could be people who are still going to go out and vote this man back into office
Oh, yeah.
says so much about where this country's heading.
Yeah. Look, Oklahoma sucks.
It's a good musical.
That's, well, it depends on who's acting in it. But Oklahoma sucks. I mean,
so we have Texas is terrible, and now we need an Oklahoma sucks logo. Okay.
well, look, everybody in Texas will agree Oklahoma sucks. I mean, that's one thing that we can agree with Texicans on, is that Oklahoma sucks, because what they say is the only reason Texas doesn't fall into the Gulf of Mexico is because Oklahoma sucks. Ask any Texan, they will tell you.
Well, or anyone who's driven through Oklahoma.
Isn't the actual saying, what do people say? Thank God for Mississippi. It's a common saying amongst certain states because Mississippi is like lowest in like every rating, like poverty, teaching, education, reading level. So anytime a state does poorly, the response is always thank God for Mississippi.
Mississippi, Alabama, and Oklahoma. They occupy so many bottom slots or top slots, depending on how negative the rating is. It's ridiculous that Oklahoma is so backward that they would go to this point, that they would allow an idiot like this. We're talking Marjorie Taylor Greene level moron to be in a place where they could write something that says, oh no, we are going to basically eliminate the ability to teach facts just so we can run it through a religious filter. By the way, I want to add that tonight on Behind Open Doors, there's going to be a to be continued about this, because this beep, 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 wrote another bill that I'm going to be talking about specifically in Behind Open Doors, because it has to do with sexual education. And if you could tell, I'm a little hot right now. So just wait for my show and it could get better.
Kind of cooler off.
This is what happens when I get the red spicy hair.
Did I tell you I think I'm going to get the red spicy hair?
Ooh, nice. I like.
Still like looking at pictures, trying to decide what I want. Anyway, not important. That's not what we're here for.
Considering that you're all like oranges and red spicy already today. All right.
Where are we going?
We're just gonna keep it rolling. Just keep it rolling. Gay Republicans accuse Buttigieg of wet dreams of gender-fluid, indoctrinated, and groomed children. Another very editorialized headline here. But Jeannie, what's going on in this one?
All right. Pete, how do you pronounce it? Buttigieg, who's transportation secretary, his husband was basically targeted by a group known as the Log Cabin Republicans. And the Log Cabin Republicans were essentially defending the bill that you all may have discussed last week about the Don't Say Gay law in Florida. So Buttigieg was pretty much outspoken against that bill and was defending the children who would be impacted by that, because the law would say that you can't talk about anything that is gender or sexuality related unless it's age appropriate, to which they mean you can't speak about any of it to anyone under 18. So the log cabin Republicans came in to defend the bill, and instead of supporting the bill, they decided to go after LGBTQ people and decided to center Chasten as the target of that. And this is what they wrote. Contrary to Chasten Buttigieg's LGBT fear-mongering and attempt for attention on CNN, Florida's Parental Rights and Education Bill will not silence gay people. It certainly will not kill them, President Charles Moran stated. All it does is reinforce the common sense belief that teacher-led classroom discussions around sexual and gender identity do not belong in primary schools. Now, this is where Jeannie goes wackadoodle, because I am tired. I am sick and tired of all of these conservative mouthpieces getting on there and saying, look, our words, we have no responsibility for what our words do in the lives of others. They are out there saying, look, we can say whatever we want to. We can make our legislation say whatever it can, and we'll make it sound pretty so it doesn't sound like it's targeting anybody, but everybody knows what the fuck it's talking about. So we don't have to take responsibility. If somebody wants to go along and they want to beat up gays or they want to kill a transgender person, you know, the reality is that they don't have to take accountability for it. They don't have to be responsible for it. We have seen, I mean, we're covering it tonight. Not only did we have record-breaking numbers in 2021 for the number of transgender people killed, we added 2 to that this last week because 2 were discovered having not been gendered appropriately. So the numbers are going up from 2021 in 2022. That should tell us just how messed up this is. And they are sitting there and they are talking about the fact that they do not have any accountability, that they can go around and say that we are abominations, that we are freaks, that we are some kind of problem for society, and people will listen to it and they will feed off of it, and then they will come find us. The son of a bitch who attacked me in the restaurant a month or so ago did so after he made it very clear that he was a Trump-loving conservative revolutionary. That was how the conversation started. It ended with him saying, no, you shouldn't feel safe when you go out in public. This shit is wrong.
Yeah.
It is time to stop this, to get these people to take responsibility for their actions, to get them responsible for their voice because they have influence. And while we fight for every little piece of dignity that we can get, these ignorant assholes can continue to just meander through life without a fucking clue.
I cannot stand these pick-me's. The log cabin Republicans are just unbelievable. They are self-hating. They are so clueless. They're privileged 99% of the time than any other LGBTQ people. It's disgusting. And, you know, I always bring it up on TikTok and why I always go after these people, especially the ones who are trying to paint themselves as just having a discussion. It's not just a discussion.
No.
It's not just a discussion. When you go look at the people who are commenting on the things that you're saying, it's all people who are being rallied by your hateful bullshit. You might not be violent, but you are inciting people to violence, and that is on you. Whether you can be legally held responsible or not, I don't fucking care. It is on you. It is not your job to to invalidate marginalized groups. It is not your job to debate about the existence of marginalized groups. We are here, we exist, and trying to pretend we don't, it's just a lie, and it's just going to cause assault and discrimination and murder. And I mean, I don't know if you saw my friends only post today, Jeannie. I'm
Mm,
so fucking tired of it.
yeah. It is. Um, Marla and I are on TikTok all the time, dealing with, and we're not the only ones. I mean, there are a number of us on TikTok who are out there trying to create space for education, to create space for normalization, to create space for just being heard. I have to wade through 45 minutes of trolls every morning when I go on, 30 to 45 minutes of trolls before I can get down to talking about anything resembling serious. And it gets so difficult to
Olive, sorry.
to try and face that, to be able to say, look, I really want to tell people, I really want to educate, I really want to inform, but I have to go through and I have to deal with the number of people who are just constantly streaming junk at me. And then you, Marla, you go in there, and I mean, granted, you're a bit of a bear baiter. But
Yeah, I am not so. Someone the other day said to me, they were like, you might be right, but why are you so. Someone's in the hall. You might be right, but why are you so arrogant about it? They're not gonna learn. And I'm like, first of all, do not tone police me. Second of all, respectability politics, that is just a tool to shut marginalized groups up. Three, I am not doing it to educate the dumbass that I'm replying to. I'm doing it to educate people on the fence, people who are uneducated and want to know, and to give tools to other transgender people to fight these bullshit propaganda talking points that are constantly circling around.
absolutely, that's the point. That is the point. Um, we can't do anything about the trolls. We can't do anything about the ignorance that is being fed by propaganda systems. We can't do anything about that. All we can do is join together in working with our community to be able to give them the tools that they need, to give them the talking points to let others know, look, we are not a threat to anyone. We only want equality and equity for our lives. We can talk to those people who are curious and authentically curious and wonder how can they learn and be better at bringing us into society. And finally, there are just some people. I'm happy that some people are curiously ignorant. You know, I love to find those people, because it's like those people I can sit down with and I can open their eyes. But you nailed it, Marla. I mean, that's our point. That's what we do. We just have to wade through all of the crap to get to it.
What gets me is when someone feels empowered to the point that they can come up to you in a restaurant, which is inappropriate to begin with, and tell you that you don't deserve to feel safe in this country.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that rips at the heart of the foundation that is what this country is built upon. There was a lot of chatter among those people about freedom, and they're still using that word freedom everywhere to talk about their cause. But when it comes to people they don't approve of, freedom is only their right to push and tear down others. We stop this. Period. We stop this.
Moving on, South Dakota passes 2 horrifying anti-trans bills in one swoop. These votes are shameful. Who is saying this, Jeannie?
Okay, so we've covered the sports ban that's been in the news for a couple of weeks. Governor Noem is up there trumpeting the fact that she is putting this ban on sports. That bill has gone to her desk. It looks like it's most likely she's going to sign it because she's the one that came up with it. But there was another bill that has passed through the House, and this is House Bill 1005. This is a bill that would ban trans youth from using multiple occupancy public school facilities that affirm their gender, including showers, bathrooms, changing rooms, and sleeping rooms. It was a 38 to 29 vote, and now it's going on to the Senate. Now, for some of you, you may be wondering, wait a minute, we've already had bathroom bills. Yes, we have. And they went to the Supreme Court. And things were pretty much clarified until this new round of bills where they are pushing for the same bans that were already discussed in the Supreme Court. And the reason why is because there is a more conservatively tipped Supreme Court. And so the fight is going to be, if they can get it to the Supreme Court again, they think it's going to fall in their favor. And this is, let's go back to last year and let's repeat what we talked about last year. This is coming from one source. This is all coming from the same source. If one state is doing it, there are going to be a chain of other states who are doing this because they have the same script, and they're going to run it through all of these other states where we saw anti-trans legislation being pushed last year, which was somewhere in 34 states, I think, that had some form of anti-trans legislation that were trying to push through. Mm-hmm. So here we go again. 2022 is off to a great start. South Dakota has already passed one that will likely be put into law, and now we're going to see another one push through.
At the end of the day, my question to these people is just, where the fuck do you want us to go to the bathroom? Like that, seriously. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you think is going to happen if a trans girl is forced to go to the boys' bathroom? Mm-hmm. What the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. And I get it. I get this question on my lives all the time. People are like, which bathroom do you use? And normally I answer mine. Because whenever I'm putting my makeup on, I'm right outside my bathroom door. So I point it and I say, I use my bathroom. I say, I don't use the public bathroom. Because this is not a question of bathrooms. This is a question of safety. And I tell people, if I've got a mask on, you know, if I look like this and I'm going into a restroom and someone says, you can't go into that restroom, or I am being drugged out of a restroom and someone is beating on me, what will be the response of eyewitnesses? What will be the response of bystanders? Because the reality is that if I have that mask on, at first glance, a woman will be told she cannot go and use a restroom, or a woman will be drugged out of a bathroom and being beat upon. Because the threats that I get say exactly that. They say, you won't come out of there. So the question is, what are you going to do when you see an innocent person being beaten right in front of you? What are you going to do if that is a child? What are you going to do if that is a teenager?
These laws are meant to dehumanize us, say that we're not even, worthy of going to the fucking bathroom without a goddamn problem.
Yeah.
And as far as those trolls go, I have a few go-tos. A couple answers are, we've always been there. I hope you know that. I want you to know that trans women have always been in those bathrooms, peeing next to you. So, get the fuck over it. And two, my usual go-tos are things like, yeah, I'm going to go in there and I am going to wreck that bathroom. I'm going to destroy it. I will pee standing up just because you asked me this question.
And see, I'm kind of like, I just want to go to one of these states that's put in a bathroom ban and just get all the trans folks together and just go and pee on the wall right in between the two bathrooms.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Someone, I brought up this point and someone came up with this idea. I don't know what the design looks like. I think it's $1 million idea. So a friend of mine was saying something on TikTok about making some joke about peeing standing up. And I was like, I'm too scared that someone's going to see that my shoes are pointing the wrong way. And they were like, what if there were shoes that were built to easily turn around on your feet so it looked like they were pointing the other direction?
Okay, so the most common response that I get is, let's give transgender people their own bathrooms.
That's separate but equal.
Separate but equal. But also, how much does it cost to build a bathroom?
A lot.
I just remember a huge amount of backlash with the, everybody getting pissed off with the gender neutral bathroom idea.
Yeah. It's like, we don't need gender neutral bathrooms because you can pick one or the other. Well, you can't use a family restroom if you're by yourself because you're not a family. So it's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to carry around little doggy bags. We're going to go into Lowe's. We're going to find the toilet department. We're going to take care of our business, and then we're going to hand you the bag as we're leaving.
Where was I just going with that thought? It's gone. It's left me.
We've got a lot of...
It's that.
Go ahead.
It's that if they want transgender bathrooms, what a good way to get transgender people killed. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted, why don't you just like put something on me to really, so that everyone has to know that I'm transgender. How about that? Like, fuck the hell off.
Right?
I'm Jewish. You know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, Yeah, that's scary, reminiscent. Yes, and they didn't have something for transgender, but they did have pink triangles at
Yeah,
that time for the
right.
Same difference.
homosexual
It was
crowd.
the same difference.
Yeah.
Transgender people would have had pink triangles.
Hmm. It's so funny how much they revolt against the term of like the anti-fascist thing, and like calling them fascists, and yet they try so hard to follow the exact blueprint of the Nazi regime and
Right.
so many fascist organizations. It's like it's crazy.
It is.
It's just
And it's cognitive dissonance. They like to use the language, but they don't really learn the terms.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yeah, Democrats are all a bunch of socialists and they're all a bunch of, Nazis and all of that. But then they turn around and they behave in the same exact way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's literally, how many times have I been called a fascist for telling someone to shut the hell up about transgender issues when they have no fucking idea what the hell they're talking about? And I'm like,
Yeah.
You think that's fascism? You think telling you to shut up because you're saying ignorant, harmful things is fascism? You're literally writing hundreds of laws against the existence of a group of people. You're trying to erase them from society. You are trying to regiment society into your two little boxes.
Yeah.
And say no one else can be anything else. What the fuck do you think fascism is?
Yeah.
Well, they have no idea what socialism is, so I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What do we have next? Is this a sister article to that? Dad who fought to ban inappropriate LGBT. Oh no, this is different.
Brand new.
Dad who fought to ban inappropriate LGBT books from schools charged with child molestation. Oh, what a surprising twist.
Kansas City. Ryan Utterback was charged with child molestation. Also charged with misdemeanor of attempting to show pornographic material to a minor. So, Ryan Utterback and other adult parents were at the North Kansas City School District Board meeting, and they wanted to ban two library books. They complained were inappropriate. The books were graphic novel Fun Home.
Fun Home of all things.
And George Johnson's All Boys Aren't Blue, both of which explore gender and sexuality for teens and young people. The school district pulled those books, but then returned them after students raised a stink about it. At that time, this is what Utterback said to the news. I understand their struggles, and it's not lost on me. But again, these conversations are to be had at home. Only I have their intimate understanding as to what is and isn't appreciated for my children.
Gag.
According to allegations, he sexually assaulted a child under 12 in 2020. In a separate incident, he made physical contact with a 14-year-old who described it as uncomfortable. And then another allegation says that he showed pornography to a 4-year-old. People, and I really, really, really want this to be clipped. If you want to know what grooming is, it is not transgender people trying to live their lives and have the same rights. This is grooming. This is the act of a predator. To first of all, behave in this way, causing harm to a child, and then to turn around and blame another group of people for it. That's grooming. And that message needs to be put out everywhere, because I'm sick and tired of people calling transgender people groomers. Just because we want to live our lives, just because we want to have access to healthcare, just because we want to live our lives out in public.
We want to say that we exist. That's our message. We want to use the bathroom and we want to say that we exist. And because of those two things, they're doing everything they can to erase us.
Yeah.
And say that we are trying to indoctrinate children because we have books that say we exist. And then we're trying to get teachers to tell kids when they're growing up, if you're trans or you're gay, you exist and you're all right.
Yeah.
Especially like all of us, we all transition later. Like, clearly it's not about indoctrination as a child.
No.
And again, I don't understand how you say, you know, all these horrible things about trans adults, trans women specifically, trans women, and the horrible things they're trying to do and the indoctrination and all that kind of stuff, and then turn around and ban trans kids from using the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like pick a narrative. Like pick, and this is how they're being so successful, is they're not. They're picking every single possible thing that you could say against somebody, just random whatever crazy fake news falsehoods, and attacking with all of them. And so whichever ones you believe, you know, whichever ones you disbelieve or whatever, there are some that people do believe and are afraid of. And so something gets through.
Yeah.
I feel like every TikTok I do sometimes is me checking one of those falsehoods off a list and then looking at the list and going, I'm making through this in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. Because every day a new one gets added.
Yeah.
Jojo Steele over here on TikTok. But use the bathroom for which you were assigned at birth to keep everyone comfortable. Isn't that an easier option? Why is making other people comfortable the option? You see, black men and women were told to go use a different restroom to make white people comfortable. Black children were told you can't use this water fountain to make white people comfortable. Asians, Japanese specifically, were told you can't live within a certain realm of distance in California or the West Coast because you make Americans uncomfortable. So we're going to relocate you somewhere else. You have to lose your property. You have to lose your home. You have to lose your business because Americans were unpopular and were uncomfortable. Jojo, that line of statements right there, that will stop.
Because yeah, it's not about who. It's America. It's not America. It's human existence. Everybody in the world doesn't get to be comfortable at all times, but everybody in the world, in the United States at least, should be able to be safe. And trans women using a men's bathroom are not safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's uncomfortable by what. Where is the safety of American citizens that are here, that are raising families, that are paying their taxes, that are doing all of the right things that we're supposed to do to be good patriotic Americans?
Yeah.
Why is it unfair for us to be safe? If it makes some people who have some certain set of ideals, they're not the common, they're not they're not common to everybody. There are people that accept and are fine and comfortable with trans people using whatever bathrooms. So it's not like it's the law and of human nature and everybody agrees with that. It's some people that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
Ooh, got me
JoJo,
fired
here's the
up too.
thing. Your statement right there. You deserve to be safe as well, and not everyone understands. Okay, yeah, we get that. That's why I don't use the public restroom. That's why I hold it until I get home. That's why I don't feel safe going out and using a public restroom, because not everybody understands, and not everybody is going to be a good actor in that. And so, yeah, I do hold it. I don't go into those restrooms. Even if I have company, I will not go into those restrooms, because not everyone understands. And where I am, not everybody understanding could lead to me getting beaten up in a store, a restaurant, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just because I use a women's restroom doesn't mean I'm always comfortable. Like,
No.
I do so at discomfort to myself because of those fears that you have. And you've chosen, instead of that discomfort, to go with the discomfort, which is actually unhelpful, to hold it until you get home.
Yeah. I went into, so when I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, on my flight back from Gulf Coast, I had to go to the restroom. Wasn't an unavoidable thing, or wasn't an avoidable thing. I had to go. So I was weighing my options. Do I go into the women's restroom and potentially create issues, or do I just, hope for the best? And then I found the family restroom, and I had to use that instead, because I did not feel comfortable going into a restroom, period. I had to take the third option.
Yeah. I had the same kind of, I mean, I ended up going every time, but on the drive down to Florida, once we hit a certain state, I was like to my partner, I need you to come with me. It's too dangerous for me to go by myself in these states.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember there was one time she couldn't come with me, and we were in Florida or Georgia or something. And every restroom I went into, the doors on the stalls didn't lock. And I was panicking.
Mm-hmm.
Been in that situation, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend's from Texas, and we did some driving around there, and there were some times of that thought of like, I live in California, so I've been really privileged and really lucky, and because of that, I tend to sort of overlook the danger sometimes. I have an unfortunate naivete towards it a lot of the time, but there are certain places where I'm made extremely aware of that, and it's the thing of like, we talked about feeling unsafe going into, or actually being unsafe going into a men's restroom. But I don't know about y'all. I will go into a women's restroom in some places, and I'll come out and I'll kind of look around for, what guys saw me go in there and are going to follow me out to my car or whatever.
Yeah. So, Kimberly over on TikTok said she's in California. The state as a whole is very accepting. The
So you get to the middle.
state is not.
What's
The
that?
state is a legal boundary. People are not generally accepting. Once you get out of the major metropolitan areas of California, you are going to run into people who are definitely dealing with issues.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we've gotten pretty far afield of the article we were talking about, but it's so funny, to bring this all back full circle, and how many times we've seen this where somebody who's vehemently anti-LGBT, or vehemently against somebody, for something in particular, and it turns out that they're doing it themselves.
Yeah.
It's it's just terrible, the hypocrisy again. I get the sense a lot of times that the reason that they're so adamant about it is because they're self-loathing, and that Danny, you mentioned that in the chat earlier, of the self-loathing Republicans. It's so it's so terrible for them to be straight and straight cis folks that they have to lash out.
Yeah. So, Wandering Zephyr asked how I felt going to the restroom when I was in New Orleans last week. So I was in Biloxi, Gulfport, and New Orleans at different points last week. And to the best of my recollections, I only went to the restroom in public one time. And that one time, I felt like it was okay because I had seen one of the workers, the male workers, use that restroom because it was the closest one to the kitchen. So I avoided the restroom. Single room.
Danny brings up a fun point. Everybody pees outside in New Orleans. That's sort of the thing there.
That's true. Yeah, there are many biological functions.
Let's go ahead and move on then. This is taking it in a different direction. Trans adult star Holly Parker dies at age 30. What's going on here, Jeannie?
So I included this because I did this for 3 reasons. 1, it's a member of our community. 2, she will not be remembered as a person. And 3, no matter what happens, she was a beautiful individual who needs to be remembered. So, Holly Parker worked in the adult film industry. And we don't know the details of this. But it's important for us to realize that our family in the community of transgender people, if we don't take the opportunity to remember one another, some of us are not going to be remembered. And if somebody is in a less than honorable occupational field, or if they are having to do what they need to do in order to survive, they won't get the credit that they deserve. So I put Holly in here because I wanted us to take a moment to just share her life as her friends described her. This is from her friend Brooke Zanell. It is with great sorrow, the greatest sorrow and devastation, that I, her sister, inform you that we lost Holly Parker, my right-hand man, the bread to my butter, my singing partner, my travel companion, my baby sister, has left this earth. Stephen Gruby, who is a co-founder of an erotica company, said that she always seemed so full of life, and she was so adorable. Just looking at a picture, she is so cute. Eris Jolie said, I'd like to take a moment to honor the life of my sister and friend, Holly Parker. She was a beautiful trans woman, talented dancer, creative musician, and model. Your life was not in vain. Everyone you touched will always be better for knowing you. I don't care how people feel about sex workers or the industry. They are human beings. And they are deserving of all of the rights that respectable people deserve. I can tell you that there are plenty of respectable people who are going to die this year, and they're going to be eulogized beautifully, and there are going to be so many pompous words said over them, yet they lived their life as horrible human beings trying to destroy others. But here was a beautiful young woman, 30 years old, trying to live her life. And if we don't take the time to eulogize her and remember her, very few people will. So, if you want to go and find, different memorials, Holly Parker, you can go do that and just let the world know that she was one of us.
I do appreciate the beauty of the sort of eulogistic tweets that her friends put out.
Yeah.
That is really sweet to see. At least. Okay. Let's get angry again, shall we?
God, why her?
Oh, this is just comical. I think this one is so hilarious. I think this is a funny piece. This is perfectly inserted.
Seeing her face makes me mad. All right, let's go here.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is livid that someone keeps vandalizing her transphobic sign. How dare you? How dare they do this? Oh my God. Jeannie, what the hell is happening to this trash bag of a person?
Well, essentially, she's crazy.
Okay, fair enough. There we go. Got it.
So she has had a sign outside of her office for, good Lord, 2 years? I think.
I cannot believe. Yeah, it was before the pandemic. I cannot believe that she still has that sign out. I mean, I know.
It's the same one. There are 2 genders, male and female. Trust the science. Now, very quickly, let's sort of recap the science that Marjorie Taylor Greene believes in and trusts in. She's against the vaccine. I'm getting commentary on my top here.
You've gotten it here too. People have complimented on it. They love it. Hey, blouse, right?
Hey, y'all let me know.
Sorry, I'm looking for my Jewish space laser. Hold on.
Yes, there we go. The Jewish space laser. That's the science she believes in. This woman has no concept of science, especially when she puts that there are 2 genders, male and female, and yet that's not science. That's sociology. So, she's getting mad because somebody is coming along and vandalizing her very important sign that declares,
it's me, I'm doing it.
It's you. I knew it. I knew it. Good Lord, Marla, you're just creating all the trouble for us. You do know that you're a designated representative of the transgender media house that we've created here at the Transverse. So when they catch you, it's going to say, co-host of Transistance. So, but I mean, she loves to make herself appear to be the victim in every turn that she can. She puts this sign out in public, and expects people to respect the ignorance of it. So I guess the next time somebody wants to vandalize it, they just need to put on there, for a good time, call Marjorie.
I mean, so she says she wants a security camera pointed at the sign so she can feel safe. She also said, because if someone is this crazy, so crazy and deranged over a sign that says there are only two genders, male and female, and they keep attacking it, then obviously they may try to attack me personally. The fucking nerve. The nerve. When people like you are the ones who are getting us fucking attacked and killed.
Oh, but, go back in history just a little bit.
Uh-huh.
She is the one who hounded, was it AOC? Before she was appointed to her seat, she followed AOC around shouting at her, trying to get a reaction.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, her safety is really threatened.
I love it every time, like, a transphobe gets piled on and yelled at, and they're like, I feel unsafe. I'm like, wow, maybe you know what it feels like now for the first time in your fucking life. Like,
no, our words aren't what's making you unsafe. Our words aren't what's making you unsafe.
Good callback. So the other times the signs were vandalized, there was one where I tried to find it. Apparently someone vandalized it with a Bible verse, but I could not find what the Bible verse was. I don't know if it was like love thy neighbor. I don't know what it was.
Right.
I assume something like that. And then also if someone vandalized it with masks for thee and not for me, because she's racked up over $100,000 in fines. When is someone going to collect this money from her?
Great question. Probably when she gets out of office.
Get the mace. The congressional mace, not like mace. You know what I mean?
I think she needs mace too. Was that Luna?
Yeah. Luna seems to be laughing at something. I'm in the middle of a live cat. All right, I'm closing this door.
It's like, oh my God.
She's not watching the show.
Oh,
she's not laughing at us.
Oh, damn. She's going to get her frequent members or frequent viewers card revoked.
Yeah, my girl doesn't watch my shows either. That's just the way it is with family, right? They never participate in what you're doing.
She comes to all of my stuff. She hasn't watched like the last 2 episodes of this though.
All right, let's move on.
My person's watching my show, so I don't know. Y'all need to upgrade.
On that note, trans woman thrown in jail with 50 men got a concussion after officers allegedly attacked her. This is exactly what we were talking about last episode, I believe, Marla, where a lot of times it's the prison system, the guards and things and those type of people that are making trans folks the most unsafe. But Jeannie, let's jump into this a little bit deeper.
Okay, so Ms. Henderson, we don't have a first name. That's how she's named in the lawsuit, was placed in an open dorm room with 50 men after being charged with a minor offense in October of 2020. Then, having been housed with those men, she claims that an officer threatened her, called her a slur, after she ran away from an inmate who was attempting to assault her, and basically blamed her for disrupting the order of the situation. This was caught on video. But after that, the officer threatened her again. Another one came over, maced her, dragged her to the ground, and pulled out her hair. She told officers she couldn't breathe. They told her to shut up, that she deserved it, while one of them held her down against the concrete by shoving his foot into her back. Then she was put in a suicide watch cell with a broken toilet. And she was released on bond later that week, where she went to a doctor and was diagnosed with a concussion from everything she had experienced. So, this is what we've been talking about when it comes to the prison system. That this is not a matter of one group of people versus another. This is in Pennsylvania, Nadia. So there is this point that people want to argue that women are being put at risk when transgender women are placed within prison systems. And now we're seeing why putting transgender women in men's prison systems is putting them in danger. The DCP, which is the Dauphin County Prison, says after reasonable investigation, answering defendants are without sufficient knowledge or information to form a belief as to the truthfulness of what was stated. So basically, the prison system is saying she's lying.
There's not enough evidence to back up her claims. What's that, Marla? Sorry.
Anyone know if the camera had audio?
Most likely not. This is not a backwater third world country that we're talking about. This is Philadelphia. This is Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Jeannie. Are you sure about that? I'm starting to be doubtful.
So, when we are talking about prison reform for transgender people, we're not talking about just in Thailand. We're not just talking about in, Southeast Asia. We're talking about right here in the United States. And it's not just about protecting cisgender females in prisons. And this is a matter of protection for all people.
Well, and see, the thing is, what this is drawing on is the belief, is the narrative that there are only two genders, and to be transgender is a choice. That's what's feeding this. That's where all this derives from, because you're making a choice for this. You don't have rights as a class, as a group of people, because you're just choosing to quote unquote fake it. And so the cis women as a category deserve to feel safe and to be protected, and people who choose to be this way do not.
Yeah.
Because their belief then, if you're choosing to be that way, then just don't choose to be trans.
Right.
That solves it.
Yeah.
Anyone who ever says trans is a choice, my new thing is they have to sit through an hour of electrolysis and not make a fucking sound.
Right.
The other thing that is just painfully ironic about this story is the little tidbit that you threw in there, that she was placed in a cell with a broken toilet. So even in prison, in a male prison, you're not allowed to use the restroom as a trans person.
Yeah.
What the actual?
Yeah.
Okay. The Supreme Court's love for religious freedom won't just affect LGBTQ people. Oh, please, God, let's circle back to this and say how it's actually gonna affect others, and we might have a chance of this getting blocked then.
So when we look at the issue of what's happening right now, the largest amount of issues that we're dealing with are issues of religious liberty. I'm not going to say freedom. Freedom is an oxymoron. Religious liberty, so that they are at liberty to do with the world what they want to do. And the courts are in this battle to define, really, are we or are we not a Christian nation? Because we're not dealing with Muslims coming to the Supreme Court. We are not dealing with Jews coming to the Supreme Court. We are not dealing with Buddhists or Zoroastrianism coming to the Supreme Court. What we're dealing with is white Christians coming to the Supreme Court to fight for their principles. Period.
So not only are we not getting the promised separation of church and state, we're not even getting the promised freedom of religion.
Right. Because, I mean, one of the issues that's coming up is that a Jewish couple wanted to adopt a child, and a Christian adoption agency refused to allow that couple to adopt a child. I mean,
but don't worry, they're pro-life or whatever.
Or whatever
adoption,
at this
right?
moment, whatever they choose to be at this moment is the right thing to be, and everything else is wrong. Whatever at this moment is their set of ideals and beliefs, that's what's right, and everything else is wrong.
Right.
Did anyone see the clip of all of the mostly women standing outside of a clinic, a women's clinic, with signs that said choose adoption, and somebody went up to them and asked, so how many kids have you adopted? And not a single one had adopted, and they were like, it's the idea of it. Go to hell.
Yeah.
Straight. Do not pass go.
I have people wondering over in TikTok what Zoroastrianism is.
Is that, hold on, God, I'm gonna make a fool of myself if I'm wrong. Is that the one? I'm so scared of being wrong right now. Is that the one that believes Is that the one that believes that every religion had their correct prophet in their time for their own people? I'm gonna guess no by your face.
No, because I'm not even sure what you just said.
There's a religion who's basically like, all religions are correct. It's just that every religion had their own prophet, and every one of those prophets was correct and given to them in their correct time and correct place and correct need. It's kind of a cute idea.
No.
So not that one. What is it?
Zoroastrianism is a Middle Eastern Indian subcontinent based religion, and Zoroastrianism actually is one of the older religions. It just kind of has gone from it's kind of moved in and out. Right, Carrie, it's Babylonian is what it is. It goes all the way back to the Babylonian culture, and it was one of the derivatives of that region. But the court is pretty much banking on the idea that religious liberty is going to outplay LGBTQ rights, because it is all going to come down to this idea that the Constitution preserves and protects religious experience, specifically white Christian religious experience.
And I don't remember anything we've talked about on this show.
Out.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything we've talked about on this show that says that white Christians can't believe in their Christianity. They can't hold their beliefs. I have never heard one thing that's said that there was ever any question of that from the LGBT community in any way. Like, hold your beliefs. You're fine. Go for it. Go do that. Like,
right. Here's the other thing, and the writer of the article, the commentary, says that many believe that non-believers are heading straight to hell. And that is a fundamental thing to keep in mind. Those fundamentalist conservative Christians who believe very strongly in inclusive, exclusive ideas of the kingdom of God, heaven, whatever you want to say it, those who are included have to meet certain requirements. They have to have their checks marked off on their list. If they don't have their checks, then they get moved to the excluded group. That excluded group is going to be destroyed. They are going to the great recycler in the sky. They begin with a primary argument that if you do not believe, you are not worthy of having an opinion. Because if you are already going to hell, if you're going to be destroyed, then your opinion does not matter. And we are dehumanized as a primary point of authority because we are lost.
And the people that discriminate against us because of that are better. You know, it's something to be praised for, to be doing God's work, to be thrashing down those that don't follow the letter of the law of God's word.
Yeah.
Which of course is not. This isn't what he said. He didn't say anything about this, but whatever.
I looked it up. Baha'i, Middle Eastern faith, believes all religions are part of one giant religion, and that we are adding pieces as humanity grows and becomes more enlightened and educated, which is a very, I don't know enough about the specifics of their faith to be like, oh no, something's like really like insidious, like deep down. But just from that alone, that sounds like a great religion. They're also apparently the most persecuted religious group in Middle Eastern countries.
Of course.
Yeah,
they don't spend all their time persecuting other people, so then the attention gets shifted to that.
The Baha'i faith is one that is not regarded well among its companion religions in that region, because
what does that say about religion when you're like, all of you are correct, and they're like, no, like,
right? Yeah, I know.
You mentioned this earlier about the 2 more trans Americans who were reported killed from 2021, and they were reported late because they weren't gendered correctly in the reports, correct?
Yep. Zanaya Williams, a 21-year-old black woman, died after a hit-and-run car crash. This was in Houston in December. She remained unidentified and then was misgendered by police and media outlets. It finally took her family coming forward to appropriately identify her in public. Second was Nikki Turrieta, 31, who was found shot to death on December 31st. She was initially misgendered by the media, and so the number of transgender people killed in 2021 stands now at 53.
I mean, we said this would happen. We said this all last year as these numbers were ticking up. We said that we were going to find it was actually a higher number for this exact same reason. And lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. It hates to be, it sucks to be right.
Yeah.
Okay, this one sounds fun. Trans adult sentenced to juvenile facility for sexual assault of minor. What's going on here?
This is complicated. I mean, this is a really complicated case. So, a judge ruled that a 26-year-old transgender woman who had sexually assaulted a child when the transgender woman was 17 has to serve out her sentence in a juvenile detention center and not a jail for adults. So Hannah Tubbs admitted to sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl in 2014. The case put the spotlight on the district attorney in Los Angeles County for taking a position of refusing to transfer juvenile defendants to adult courts. Gascon has said that the brains of juveniles aren't developed enough, and a better place for those who do crimes underage is in a juvenile treatment facility. Tubbs was arrested for the assault in 2021 because a DNA match finally connected her to the assault in 2014. Now, she's been arrested a number of times for other crimes, but it wasn't until November that she confessed to it. And this is where it gets bizarre. The prosecutors never sought to transfer her case to adult court, where she would have been facing longer sentence to have, to serve in jail. So now, I mean, this is so complicated and so convoluted. We have to ask, whose standards are we following here? I hate that a transgender woman sexually assaulted a minor. I hate that if a transgender woman sexually assaulted anyone. Mm-hmm. I do believe that they deserve justice for what happened.
Absolutely.
But to put a 20-plus-year-old person in a juvenile detention center is absurd.
It's also just a bad look for the transgender community. And I sometimes am wondering if that's on purpose right now.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Marla, why you gotta be all conspiracy theorist now?
I don't know.
Well, and we did talk about it last week or the week before that this story was going to come out. Because trans people are people, there will be people in the trans community who are convicted of child molestation. It's because we're just normal humans, and in that there are good ones, there are bad ones, and there are ones that need a lot of help. And and this a story like this has the potential to catch fire and be everywhere and just fuel all of the anti-trans stuff.
I can't
Yeah.
wait until they change a bunch of facts about it to make it even fucking worse, as if it needed to be.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, the fact that she's being put into a child's prison at I think you said it happened in 2014, so she should be 24 now. They're putting a child molester into children's prison. This is great. I think they're gonna have a field day with that tidbit as well.
Well, and also, I mean, keep in mind that when it comes to anti-trans, Pixel, go ahead and say something. Jump in the chat and say something. When it comes to the anti-transgender voices, they are reductionist. And this is a reduction just waiting to happen. This is essentially, okay, so now we got transgender people wanting to be put in, children detention centers so that, they can have more children to prey upon, because we're already being reduced to that. We're already being reduced to the fact that we are predators, that we are molesters. And so now this is only going to fuel the reductionist fire.
I agree. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm like already like readying myself for all because the second that this becomes like national news and starts making its way through those circles, we're going to hear it in every goddamn live, in every goddamn comment section, and I'm going to be ready to fucking do something about it.
And I have somebody here in TikTok who is stating that they are a judge within the prison system and making the argument that it will be challenged, and when it is, it will be knocked down. No, it will not be knocked down, because the primary argument that anti-trans athletic people make is that transgender women are bigger and stronger than their counterparts. And they love to, and Marla just did a video on this, they love to bring up the case of an MMA fighter who reportedly fractured their opponent's skull because they were a bigger, stronger transgender woman.
Hold on. Actually, the Facebook memes about it were that she crushed 2 cis women's skulls.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I know what you were talking about, NASW, but here's the thing. It won't matter. The transgender rhetoric machine will take that. And even if that person were proved not guilty, had the entire case thrown out, the case would still be brought up as proof that transgender people are predators. Period. That's the reductionist power. That is how these arguments begin to take shape. So we have to be aware of the facts. We have to know what is going on. I know we get tired of all of the weight and the burden of bad news, but if we don't understand the truth of what is happening, if we don't understand the details, then we will continue to be made to look like we are the ass end of horrible people, because reductionist arguments are always going to paint us in the worst light.
Yes, and they're going to be outright lies, and people might not be, especially if you're not educated, you might not be ready to defend them. I literally have someone in that video that blew up about the MMA fighters being talking about CC Telfer, who is a runner who basically their record in the NCAA in the college level before transitioning was meh, and then they won one single race at the college level, I think in the 400 meter hurdle, and this person's like, don't you know about this person who's an Olympian who was really bad and then transitioned and then won a gold medal at the Olympics? She was never in the Olympics.
Yeah.
She won at the college level. I literally said this to him. She won at the college level, and then got into the Olympics and was immediately kicked out because she didn't meet the testosterone standards. And the person was like, no. I was like, this is a 5-second Google. They don't care what the facts are.
No.
Well, yeah. And this article is going to be the basis of every transgender bathroom piece of legislation going forward. It's going to be the political talking point.
Yeah, because it's where the assault took place. It took place in a bathroom. So now,
oh great, even better.
It fulfills every trope about transgender people. Gotta love it. Let's go to the next fun one.
Prominent this is,
oh God!
I don't know how much of this to.
I'm so ready to read her entire quote. Okay, let's go.
Well,
you take this one, Marla. As soon as Emily gives it, you take it and run with it.
Okay. Getting ready here. So I don't know which part of this to put in quotation marks because it seems like there's so much of it, but whatever. Prominent Christian doctor claims COVID vaccines will turn people into transhumanist cyborgs. As Marla pointed out, so many amazing quotes in this. Let's give it straight to Marla. What do you have to say about this?
So this woman, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, for some reason the name Dr. Sherry Tenpenny already just sounds like someone who's like a con man, that's you know.
Well, and it sounds like a Bond character, right? Because of Miss Moneypenny, the whole
So she's this influential anti-COVID misinformation machine. I believe it was found that 6 Twitter accounts were responsible for something like 50% or more of all COVID misinformation that was being put out, and she was one of those accounts. So she has this long history of anti-LGBTQ statements, and now she's saying that the COVID vaccine, or rather, I don't even know if she's trying to say that the COVID itself or the vaccine itself, I don't even know where to go with this woman anymore, is either going to make you chronically sick or turn into a transhumanist cyborg. Did she describe what a transhumanist cyborg was? No. These are just words that came out of her mouth. She also uses her prestige in her medical degree to sell, much like a lot of these people, to sell like detox products and all these homeopathic medicines, and she's a swindler.
So
she also is well known as being the person who very loudly says that the COVID vaccine makes you magnetic. So I'm going to read some quotes from this nutcase. She said this on, I believe she said this on a television show, the Stu Peters show, which is apparently like a right-wing, who fucking knows. Anyway, the whole issue of quantum entanglement and what the shots do in terms of the frequencies and electronic frequencies that come inside of your body and hook you up to the Internet of Things, the quantum entanglement that happens immediately after you're injected, you get hooked up to what they're trying to develop. It's called the hive mind, and they want all of us there as a node and as an electronic avatar that is an extra replica of us, except it's an electronic replica. It's not our God-given body that we were born with, and all of that will be running through the metaverse that they're talking about. All of these things are real, Stu, all of them, and it's happening right now, and it's not some science fiction thing happening in the future. It's happening right now in real time. No one should listen to a word that comes out of this woman's mouth.
Well, actually, there are a lot of good words coming out of her mouth. They just don't go together.
They're in the wrong order.
Any other favorite parts of quotes in this article that you want to pull out more? I just love. I mean,
would
I don't know
if
how
I
you
had
can get
not
past
lost my notes.
that we're going to be
Oh,
manually manipulated externally by 5G, by magnets, by all sorts of things.
yes, the whole quote relating to the cyborgs is the stated goal is to depopulate the planet, and the ones that are left either make them chronically sick or turn them into transhumanist cyborgs that can be manipulated extremely. No, sorry, it can be manipulated externally by 5G, by magnets, by all sorts of things.
Well, and the thing is, it's I didn't see it specifically called out, but she says this transhumanist thing, and I mean, it just sends the chill down my spine that she means trans as in like transgender people.
No, that's not what she means. Well, it may be what she means, but transhumanism is actually a movement that was sparked in I believe, the late 50s and early 60s, where it was the idea of enhancing human beings with technology through scientific means to make them more than human. And so the ideas of cybernetics, the idea of bionics, the idea of, I mean, that's exactly what the $6 Million Man was. It was a science fiction television show built upon the concept of transhumanist ideals.
I'm going to assume, given her past statements on transgender people, that she doesn't know any of what you just said.
No, I agree. I think she is barely holding all of the words together in her brain.
It's just completely a word soup in her brain, and they come out in the order they do.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. I am all for becoming a cyborg. That would be just amazing to be a cyborg. I'm all for it.
Listen, if this vaccine isn't turning people trans, why are there so many more trans people after the pandemic started? I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there. Just giving the information. The people can decide what it means.
Yeah, people are saying that's what people are saying. People are saying that the
it.
vaccine makes people trans. That's where trans people come from. Is vaccine. That's what people say. Yeah.
Yeah, even what's his name? Tucker Carlson says that, this stuff is basically demasculinizing men. And so
This is the guy that told people to take
take
testosterone blockers.
Right, the virus is causing men to lose their masculinity, and then they're taking Spiro, and finasteride, the other stuff. Yeah, thank you. To fight off COVID, which is actually causing them to be more feminized. So if you get the virus or you get the vaccine, you're just going to be trans. That's unavoidable. That is unavoidable.
Facts.
And
just hard evidence.
We were very forward thinking in this, Emily, because now we have created the Transverse for the transhumanist, unavoidable transgendering of the world.
Not the world, the entire universe. Not the world, the entire universe. We're taking it all. Right. With our magnets and our 5G, we're coming for you.
Hey, but wait, there's more. We actually interviewed a transgender member of the United States Space Force. Therefore, we have our own military arm that takes us into space so that we can establish the Transverse for as far as we can get to.
Wait, why are we building their
trans? What? And Pluto's pronouns.
Just a quick pause. Why are we building the conspiracy theory for them, considering they can do so many on their own? They're already
profit.
I'll sell shirts.
I mean, come on, this is profitable.
There's an interesting thing. There's how we're going to fund the Transverse. We're going to sell trans antidote serums. Like, we're the ones that know.
Oh no. I'm writing this
The
down
views
somewhere.
expressed by Emily are not the views of the Transverse or any of its subsidiary organizations.
Okay, where are we
Sondheims.
going next?
Oh, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was saying, where are we going next?
Okay. We're going to see Sondheim. A little night music gets a queer twist. What's going on here?
So I guess I'm taking this one.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
of course.
So a little night music.
I know
which
how big a fan you are of Sondheim.
I mean, I only was depressed for like 2 weeks after his passing. It's fine. Um, a little night music. One of Sondheim's most successful shows. I think 6 Tony Awards, if I remember correctly. Responsible for his most famous song ever, which is "Send in the Clowns." Um, there is a production of it. Current. It's not quite up yet. I think they're still in late rehearsal. I think it might be opening very, very soon. But the thing about this article was I started reading it, right? And I was like, oh, this is fun. They're making it queer. They're having all these trans um, actors in it, and they're queering the whole thing up, which is very interesting because Sondheim, being a queer man himself, really didn't write queerness into any of his shows. Company, there's always been like this whole thing that the main character is actually gay, and that's why he has all these marital or issues with committing to a woman. And Sondheim kind of confirmed that, but basically no queerness in any of his shows otherwise. So I'm reading this article, and the reason that it struck me is I'm reading it and I'm looking at the pictures. I was like, I know that person. Performing, if you are on TikTok and on trans TikTok, performing in this production is Ty Darren, Mix Darren on TikTok, very popular. I think 500,000 followers, something like that.
I was the one who did the video of the proud mom of the queer child, the trans child who came out. That was what started the viralness of it.
Ty, also, if you might, a more recent video that I remember is they did the one where it was, I think it might have been one of their first videos I ever saw, was where it's like someone talking to someone and they get misgendered, and the person who gets misgendered is like upset about it, and the other person goes, "What? It was a mistake." And then that person slaps them and they go, "Ow, why'd you do that?" And they go, "I'm sorry, it was a mistake." "Oh, I'm sorry, do mistakes hurt?"
Yeah.
Very popular.
I'm also the one that does the attack helicopter.
Mm.
Somebody says, my pronouns, I identify as that's what it is. I identify as an attack helicopter, and Ty goes on and has a lot of fun with that.
Yes. So I just basically I just want to read some of Ty's quotes here, because as a transgender musical theater artist, a lot of this spoke to me. I hope I get the right quotes since they were in my notes, but we're going to go and hope. I had to step away from theater in order to reinvest in my truth. I fell so deep into the image of a workable actor, an image that felt parallel to the expectations society placed upon me, that I lost the sense of who I am. That's literally my entire fucking story. I lost the sense of freedom and euphoria that drew me to the theater in the first place. And now that I have reclaimed my truth and reconnected with my perspective, I want to tell stories that allow me to bring my full self to my work. So that was super touching to me. Also, another quote, theater has always been a place where stories of otherness are brought to life. Theater is, in its essence, an art form that thrives in nonconformity. I hope that the queer, trans, and non-binary representation in A Little Night Music will prove to the industry that we can and should cast folks based on the quality of their spirit, not just their physical qualifiers. And I hope that young queer folks will come to see the show and realize that they too can bring their full selves to their work and to the world. I mean, this is basically the whole thing I started with on TikTok.
Yeah.
Until there were a bunch of transphobic idiots and people were like, you're really good at dragging them. But yeah, this is really important to me, and I'm so happy to see that it's someone that I follow. Though I will say, I am friends with basically and mutuals with basically every large TikTok creator or trans TikTok creator on TikTok and queer creator. Not Ty. Ty, if you're listening, friend me.
Yeah, I've tried to connect with Ty a couple of times to try to get them on the transgender show. It's kind of hard to get through that barrier.
Very popular.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we got coming up next. TikTok star, sticking with TikTok, Emira Despain makes history as Victoria's Secret's first Black trans model. Very exciting. Are you taking this one too, Marla?
I could.
Okay.
So title pretty much says exactly what we need to know. She's the first Black transgender model for Victoria's Secret. There had been a white trans model back in 2019 who was Valentina Sampaio. And now we have the first Black transgender person to model for Victoria's Secret. First of all, gorgeous woman, absolutely beautiful. And I think the part that makes me the happiest is that they're including her for their Valentine's Day inspired collaboration. Valentine's Day is probably the most important holiday to Victoria's Secret, and they put a Black trans woman out in front to market, and that is fucking huge. That is so huge. She also did this little segment wearing some of the stuff where it was basically, the message was basically to love yourself and give yourself self-care. So it was sort of her having a Valentine's Day to herself and pampering herself and doing things for herself and loving herself. And I thought that was a great message, and I hope to see her in more stuff. That's all I can say.
I mean, I think it's fabulous. Victoria's Secret has become such a centerpiece in the industry of basically the standard of beauty for women. Victoria's Secret, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, you have these two pieces of pop cultural influence that say beautiful women look like this. Both Sports Illustrated and now Victoria's Secret have featured transgender women in their marketing, and this is huge for us. This is gigantic for us, except it still feeds the cultural standards of beauty. And as beautiful as she is, and I am so happy that she gets to be one of Victoria's Secret's models, it's still really hard to accept that as a step forward, because it only is going to feed into the passing narrative that cisgender people expect of us.
Well, and more importantly, that we expect of ourselves. I think that's where it starts to get the most harmful, is the self-hatred that comes from not meeting that standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Heather, I agree with you. They do need to include curvy women. Look, I love Victoria's Secret. I can't wear their bras because they don't make my size. I would love to be able to shop there, but I don't, because they do not size for me. I do, however, go to Torrid. Torrid has a better representation for body size. And so it is it does not try to hide curvier women's bodies. And I, I actually took my shot and tried to be, tried out for their competition to be a model for this last year. Yeah, Lane Bryant also does the same thing, but there's there is still a burden. Actually, what I want to do is I want to talk to some of the local folks, because right here in Northwest Arkansas, we have a modeling agency that does feature diverse female representation, including trans women. In fact, one of the local trans women who I follow on Facebook is a very prominent model within that company. So it's pretty awesome.
It's very unfortunate to hear, and to be reminded how poor Victoria's Secret, a poor job they do at representing, the full spectrum of women's bodies and catering to them. But especially because that was one of the places I found really early acceptance. That was the second place I ever said out loud that I ever told a store clerk that I was shopping for myself.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at the level of acceptance and the help I received, and I was allowed to go into a dressing room, and I thought it was incredible. And yeah, it's one of those articles where it's like, yes, this is great for recognition of trans people and acceptance and things like that, and it's really bad because it just fills that shallow narrative so much.
Marla doesn't shop for bras outside in the world. Marla barely needs a bra.
Jeannie needs the right sizes because things are getting bigger. So,
well, see, for me, it's the thing where I need the bra with some padding and the makeup to feel like I look feminine at all, to even come close to the standard again.
Yeah. I was struggling today because I did eyes and lips, and that's it today. Because my makeup and my hair, my show wig is in my luggage, which is somewhere else. And it was like, I don't know how I'm going to look tonight. And I was like, I turned these lights on earlier and I'm like, oh God, this is not going to work. Yeah. I mean, we all still struggle with it.
Moving right on to another wonderful human. What is going on with Joe Rogan and all the great stuff that he's spouting on his podcast? Who wants to take this one?
I'll take it. First off, I want to say, as soon as I figure out how to do it, either through Spotify or through Buzzsprout, I'm off that platform. I know I have a small podcast, but I will not be a part of this platform anymore. He just keeps spreading lies and bullshit. I mean, it was all COVID misinformation. We talked about his Jordan Peterson nonsense last week, where they were saying that trans people were the downfall of society and a sign of societal collapse and all this nonsense. So a lot of people are calling for his podcast to be removed. And a lot of people might have seen it about a week ago. Neil Young basically said, you get my music, or like, it's me or Joe Rogan. And Spotify chose Joe Rogan.
What?
Yeah.
Over Neil Young?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not just Neil Young. There are others that have sided with him. I forget the list off the top of my head, but there are lots of big musicians that have followed suit.
Yeah. So there just needs to be more pressure put on them. I mean, Joe Rogan has always been a dangerous mouthpiece. He doesn't care the harm he causes. He's just awful. Did y'all see my video about him taking testosterone?
Yes.
So Joe Rogan is taking HRT, taking testosterone supplements. And my video is something along the lines of, Joe Rogan's taking HRT. Okay, I have a couple of questions. 1, what are your pronouns? 2, do you like masculine or neutral compliments? 3, what's in your pants?
Yeah, I knew that something about sex organs had to come next. It's got to be there. It's got to be. Ugh.
He's awful, and between the COVID stuff and Jordan Peterson stuff, his podcast has to go.
Well, now there was a dovetail article or a companion piece article.
That
right.
Is this Lily? Are we moving on to Lily now?
Transgender woman who's out there repping for the people, Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, where did that one go?
Decides that she's going to stand up and cheer Spotify for standing up for Joe Rogan, who has mocked her for being transgender.
Yep.
She's out there saying, this is what she said. Bye-bye leftover hippies from the 60s boycotting Joe Rogan on Spotify. Nobody will miss you. Thank you, Spotify, for standing up for Rogan. Y'all.
Can we kick her out of the club? Is there anything we can do? I
thought we did. This is what Rogan said in a 2020 show. We're in La La Land, where he was talking about Jenner getting bottom surgery. Rogan mocked Jenner's genitalia, wondering why she would get gender-affirming surgery if she was completely woman, all woman before that. And she wants to stand up for him. And I'm like, I don't know who she's trying to impress. So I'm not impressed.
I'm not impressed. No.
I'm going to pop out of here so I can go set up behind open doors.
Okay. Bye, Jeannie.
All right. Bye, y'all.
All right.
Do we even have time for another, or do we just need to say goodbye?
Oh, I didn't realize how late it was. We've got other stuff. I saw that there was a Lily article. Let's go ahead and talk about her. Are you prepped for the Lily Wachowski article?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Essentially, Lily Wachowski, one of the Wachowski sisters, The Matrix and all that good stuff, has this queer comedy series called Work in Progress, and after 2 seasons, it's being canceled. And essentially, she's saying that this is just an endless cycle with queer-centric shows where these companies, these networks, trot them out and look how diverse we are, but then never give the show enough time to catch on. Because in the case of this show, Work in Progress, the show made it onto 7 top 10 lists and's been nominated for a GLAAD Award now that it's canceled, and it's still not good enough. They don't give these shows enough time, and then they fail, and then they go, well, I guess queer shows don't sell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an endless cycle of this, and it's why there's so little good queer media, especially on network television. I mean, there's some good stuff on like Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, and one of the things you were commenting on there that struck me is I'm sure they didn't spend a lot of money advertising it.
No, sure they didn't.
Setting
a sad state of affairs. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think I really have any queer content that I'm watching right now.
Other than
Sex
this show.
education. Sex Education is supposed to have 2 transgender characters next season, so I guess there'll be that. I don't have HBO Max, or I'd be watching Euphoria.
Mm.
Um, Netflix, as far as I know, doesn't really have anything new. They have that podcast we were talking about 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember the name of it. The Gay Agenda.
Okay.
Um, but other than that, not really. There's not a ton more. I think the show you introduced me to isn't a thing anymore. It was like a mini series.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
On Comedy
what was it called?
Central, Transaction.
Transaction. Yeah.
Little 5-minute episodes, super fun, really cute. Kind of confusing why the lead trans girl in this show wrote herself as such a complete B word, but
I mean, I think it's sort of to. There's so many characters out there that are lovable that are assholes on these shows, and maybe that was the goal
mm-hmm.
to
Yeah,
just be like,
you are
just like
behind
it.
her. You're rooting for her, even though you're like, why are you being such a
Yeah.
pain in the ass? Let's see. Oh, you know what? I need to switch over to Discord so I can see when Jeannie's ready. One second.
It's me, Marla, speaking to you and trying to fill time. Do you follow me on TikTok? You should follow me on TikTok.
You should follow The Floor is Marlava on TikTok. Absolutely.
I'm quite popular.
Quite popular. Quite popular. Let's give Jeannie just a little bit more time to get set up.
You want to do this Leah article?
Yeah, let's do it. We didn't hit any sports, and we might as well. I had a little bit of some sports history that I wanted to touch on, but we're out of time, and I didn't finish my research, so it'll be great for next time when we do have time to run into Jeannie's show. So, teammates betray trans swimmer Leah Thomas and ask for her to be banned from competing. So, apparently 16 members of the University of Pennsylvania women's swim team have written a letter urging the Ivy League to support stricter rules for participation of trans athletes, rules that could make it difficult for their trans swimmer Leah Thomas to compete. And you know, Marla, we've been talking about this. We've seen this. You know, they've expanded the rules for NCAA that to compete in the sports and I think particularly in the championships. I don't know that it's the sports yet. I mean, maybe you need to do a little bit more research. But that you have to be on testosterone, have to have the correct testosterone levels. It used to be 2 years. Now it has to be for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny about that is when you pair that with the legislation that it is child molestation or illegal or whatever to give HRT to someone under 18, someone who's a minor, then what you're doing is you're saying that college students can't compete in most states.
I didn't put those two things together. That just blew my mind. I have to make a TikTok about that.
Mm-hmm. So what it means is that you can't participate in the sport of your gender until you're a senior in college a lot of the time, which is going to be the varsity level, which how do you break into the varsity level if you haven't been able to compete or practice with them for 3 years?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's going right on my things to make a TikTok about list.
Glad I could spark you with that one. Hey Rockira, how you doing? It's been a while since I've seen your name pop in. I mean, not too long, but I haven't got a chance to call you out and say hey. Okay, I told Jeannie to ping me when she's ready to go live, and I just got a message that said, "Ping." So,
okay.
That does it for us. Thank you so much, Marla. I cannot wait to see your TikTok video. Again, The Floor is Marlava on TikTok is the place to find all of that. And thank you all so much for coming, for being here and putting up with our frustrations with these terrible, terrible articles that came up today. But I hope you had some fun, and I hope to see you next week. Stay tuned right now for Jeannie's show, Behind Open Doors, our sex, intimacy, and relationship show. We'll see you all very soon.
Night.